Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us for this special edition Facebook Live from the Daily Mirror. And there's only one story in town that we will be dissecting. I am Russell Myers. I'm the Royal Editor of the Daily Mirror, and I'm joined by our columnist Eva Simpson to go through the major story of the day. I imagine of the week, of the year, of the decade. Eva, we are going to be talking
absolutely of the century.
Century.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so there's a lot to go through.
Crack right on with it. I mean, where to start though? This is an absolutely extraordinary turn of events. I watched it live last night.
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen all the snippets, and I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing tonight. I've only seen the snippets that have been released so far and read, obviously, your reporting and everything else. But how was it? Just watching it, just seeing it.
It absolutely extraordinary, really, because I sat down to watch it, and I was in a studio, and I thought I'd been thinking about it for the past few days, and I thought that, listen, it'd gone from 90 minutes to 2 hours. Obviously, Oprah Winfrey is a master in her craft. She's not going to make it a damp squib, but how much could they say? And I thought that potentially Meghan and Harry would put a few boots into members of the royal family. They trash the press that we've come to know that they have a real big problem with. Maybe she'd speak about her own family issues that are well documented over the last couple of years. But I was absolutely floored from minute one to when it ended, and I'm still reeling from it from now. I think there's just some of the headline things that we have. A member of the royal family spoke to Harry and said, comment about the colour of his unborn children.
That just even gives me goosebumps, even just hearing that. It was one of the first things I read, and like you've seen it, which is I'm yet to see it. I've read the headlines, but reading the comment she made that there was concerns about the colour of her baby's skin. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine, just as a mother, it's your first child, all the excitement that goes with it, and for that question to be asked, for me, Russell, it really, there are two sides to every story. We've heard, last week from palace sources, but we've heard now from the horse's mouth. We heard in a way that we rarely have before. This spotlight has been shone on what goes on, what has gone on, and what she went through. And one of the things that struck me was, we think, we see the royals and we think they're so lucky. We look at Meghan, Russell, and you think, oh my God, she's got her prince and she's going to live in a palace and everything's going to be wonderful. But in the piece, she talks about the fact that she didn't want to live. That just, I mean, honestly, when I heard she said that she didn't want to live, and I just think we just have this idea that their lives are so perfect and so wonderful, or we think, well, you've got it all. How dare you moan? You've got no right to complain. And I think that to me, it just says, we just got to have some more compassion and some more humanity. And this idea that, just because you're living, is there a happy ending? I mean, I guess they've swanned off to, and they seem to be happy. But, this idea that just because you're born into royalty, that you've got it made, I think this couple have shown us actually there's so much more to it.
I'm going to take some points on that, and Meghan that dropped this bombshell about how she was feeling suicidal. Now, this is particularly striking at any time, any sort of young woman.
Russell, you've seen it? Did she say? She said at the time she felt she didn't want to live.
There's three quotes that I pulled out, and there's one, I felt suicidal. After Oprah Winfrey was asking her, she replied in the affirmative. She said, I couldn't be left alone. And also, I didn't want to be alive anymore. Now, this is a woman who has been, successful in her own right. I've seen her speak on the world stage. She's very, very impressive indeed. The world at her feet, living in insane privilege. This woman was 5 months pregnant at the time, and that she claims that she went to a member of the royal family, was saying that she was distressed, that she believed that she needed to be hospitalized because her mental health had deteriorated to some extent. That member of the royal family, we don't know who that was, a senior royal, told her essentially to sweep it under the carpet, don't raise this, because it won't look good for the family. So Meghan being quite distressed, took that complaint to their one of the HR, the people in the HR department, she said. Now, the reason why I think this is so intensely interesting is because last week there were allegations labelled at Meghan Markle that she is a bully, that she made people's life hell within staff, she humiliated her staff, and Buckingham Palace, after the reports in the Times, were very, very quick to put out a statement, a very strongly worded statement, so they don't tolerate bullying in the workplace, and they were to launch an immediate investigation. So we are yet to hear. It is now 2:10. This interview has been out for 12 hours. We haven't heard from Buckingham Palace yet. I imagine they will be locked into, an office or a bunker somewhere, probably absolutely shell-shocked at the amount of nuclear bombs that have been dropped by Harry and Meghan. But still, the central point has to be they have to issue a robust statement about this. And will there now be an investigation? Why didn't they look after Meghan? Why wasn't there a duty of care? I just find it absolutely astonishing.
Absolutely, Russell. I think, as you said, there are so many things to digest, and I think it's important that we digest them and understand and listen to them, because, as you say, now we're, attention is turning to Buckingham Palace. What is their response going to be? When all is said and done, these are people at the heart of this story. This is why we're so fascinated, because they're, we think that they've got everything money can buy. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, they have everything, but still there's this drama, this unhappiness, and again, it's even hard for us to stay on track, because we would 1 minute we're talking about Meghan saying she didn't want to live, then we're talking about some other bombshells. It's like that whack-a-mole game. All these bombshells are just coming all over the place. What I would like to see, though, at some level, is just a de-escalation of the rhetoric, the de-escalation. So they've dropped theirs, and then last week, as you said, there was reporting in the Times about these bullying allegations that surfaced from thin air, just suddenly on the eve of this. I think what I'd like to see is just a de-escalation. Let's cool it all down. There's hurt, as Harry said, there's pain on both sides.
On both sides. I read your column, actually, which was fantastic, obviously. But when you wrote about the fact of what black and mixed race women have to put up with in the workplace, if they seem to be vivacious or having ideas, that they are often having obstacles put in front of them. I thought that was particularly pertinent in this case. Is there some sort of issue where people in the palace didn't really understand Meghan's work ethic? Were there potentially underlying causes of racism? There needs to be an investigation in order to get to the bottom of this. And let's go back to the mental health aspect. There will be an awful lot of commentary around this, I'm sure, of how Meghan couldn't find anyone to talk to in the palace. Her husband was one of the leading pioneers of the Heads Together campaign with Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, that they've dragged the royal family into the 21st century in terms of mental health is concerned. Why on earth did they feel that, one, they could not talk to each other? Harry has spoken about seeking treatment for his mental health before. He's as Prince Charles has been widely reported to have done. Why on earth could they not seek help within the institution? And I think there will be serious questions to be answered. And listen, before all of these bombs were dropped in the interview, our on-page story was actually people that I'd spoken to saying that Prince William, or Prince Charles and Prince William, were immensely saddened at this whole scenario. Well, they will be absolutely devastated and crestfallen after seeing the fallout of this, let alone being sad and upset.
I don't think anyone comes out of it. Sorry, Russ. I don't think anyone comes out of it. There are no winners here. Winners, and it's a bad look for everyone. It's Harry's revelations about his relationship with his brother and his father. How people now feel about Meghan and Harry. So that there are risks talking out about these things. I think for them as a couple, they felt they needed to do this. But as you said, there are so many things that have to be addressed. One of the points you said, Russell, is that at some point Meghan wanted to go to HR. Now, when you think about Buckingham Palace, it's a family, and the idea that she's a member of the family. In order to tackle an issue, you go to HR. HR are there to deal with staff and people who work there. So there's clearly not a mechanism in place. There clearly wasn't a mechanism in place to help deal with this. And we know tradition in the family is to sweep it under the carpet. It is to have a stiff upper lip. It is to sort of just roll up your sleeves and keep calm and carry on. That is what the expectation is. And for once, we have someone who's come into the royal family, as I've written about, who is, she's American, she's from, and to make it in Hollywood, you've got to be outspoken, you've got to kind of be ambitious. You've come into an institution where the very heart of it is just keep calm and carry on, just hush and it'll all go away. And it just shows that, maybe they were ill-equipped to deal with it and try to support her and help her. And it all just, and you've got to understand that obviously they're living in a bubble. So, that I'm not to make any excuses, but then, imagine how you as a reporter, how would you have covered that?
I guess
mental health issues. Can you imagine? There wouldn't have been the support. There wouldn't have been the sympathy. So it's tricky. It's tricky on all sides. But as I say, I just hope that they've got it out their system now. Let's just hope that rather than come back swinging, we see just try and just to move on and just put the past behind, really. But I'm sure that we haven't even seen it yet, so I'm sure there's still more to come.
No,
so.
and you know what? I think that the palace will have some form of reaction. There will be some form of statement. I would hope that it will be in the form of announcing an investigation into the Meghan's very distressing claims about her mental health. I think there are so many points to be dissected here. The unhappiness, the fact that harking back to the Sussex's tour of South Africa that I was on, and we had that ITV documentary which he said nobody asked me if I was okay. Well, why did it come to this? There is so many problems here. I've seen the comments. Maureen, thank you very much. No, I haven't been to bed. I'm still. I know we have no caffeinated drinks in the house. So
Russell, for you, this must be like watching the Oscars for showbiz journalists, maybe.
Bizarre existence, I can tell you. I did see in the comments as well, someone saying, listen, there are two sides to every story, and of course there are. And I think Meghan demonstrated that herself, because she was saying that the breaking point for her was talking about that the stories had appeared in the newspapers, first appeared in Telegraph, and then the Sun, about how she had made Kate cry. And she flipped it and said, well, it wasn't like that at all. Kate had actually made me cry, but she apologised and I have forgiven her.
So Russell, who hasn't cried at weddings? Can we just who hasn't cried? Weddings are stressful. Everyone's in tears. I'm crying. Let's just. They're a human. They're allowed to. Let's not just demonize them. Whether Kate made her cry, she made someone else cry. This happens. It's a way. It doesn't make them bad people. I think that's sometimes we dehumanize them too often. I think Meghan and Harry, they've just become a little cottage industry. We've seen it before with Diana. We've seen it with Michael. We don't see them as people. We just think, oh, there's a next story. There's the latest thing. There's a even as a public, we just maybe we are part of it. We can't get enough. So I think we just got to think that, things happen, that just because you're a princess doesn't mean you're not going to cry at your wedding, or your sister-in-law might not make you cry one day. And it doesn't mean that you not all can be friends the next day. So let's just see them as humans a bit more than just,
I think that's a very valid point, and one that the royals and the Sussexes would take well in heeding, because everyone needs to take a step back at the moment. There is a lot that has been said. There is an awful lot that will be said over the coming days, weeks, years, and decades. I imagine, Eva. We're going to be pouring over this.
Russell, you're going to be busy for a while longer. Don't worry.
And listen, we're going to wrap it up there. I'm sure we will do this again. There is plenty more to pour over. It's going to be on ITV at 9:00 in the UK tonight, screened at 70 countries, and it's an absolutely jaw-dropping watch. I would absolutely recommend that you watch it, and we'll be talking about it for a long, long time. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you.